everybody to Arguably Correct with Jay
It's a long
and
intro.
Jeff.
We gotta get to the rocking part though, if
hold on.
it gets there.
Next on stage is Candy. We're doing 2 for 1s today. That's my librarian stripper DJ.
Seeing that I just faded away from the microphone slowly.
That's like so high tech, man.
I know.
High tech.
I know.
Did you find that on YouTube?
That is one of our new songs on Ego's new album.
Hour? You got a mouse in your pocket?
It's the band, our band collectively. It's our song.
Yeah. Not mine, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
I have
that's right.
no
Shit.
affiliation with
Yeah.
this rockabilly bullshit.
It says
What do you
the
call this
ICT
called?
fan.
Skunk? Skunk?
Skunk? Yeah, skunk.
It's called skunk?
It's ska punk.
I'm kidding. Skunk.
Yeah.
Actually, they should call it
They
ska
should call
punk
it
skunk.
Yeah, they should.
Hey, coined here, circa 2018.
Somebody
What year is
said
this?
it.
Skunk. Nobody said it. Anyway, welcome.
So anyway.
Yeah, arguably correct. Back again.
Yeah,
Welcome, everyone.
And we keep using those songs for bumpers because it's the only songs that one of us own. So we won't get copyright infringement.
Yeah, you gotta love the lawyers, the attorneys. Well, I can't blame them. Everybody should be paid for their art.
Everybody should.
I mean,
pay
wait a
for
minute.
that.
You're enjoying our art right now for free. So,
We might get paid someday.
Maybe.
No, we won't
We
get
probably won't get
paid.
paid.
But that's fine.
We had a 12-pack for Patreon. Buy some beer. Send some beer.
Do we have a Patreon?
No, but we should. We will. We will.
Oh, if we ever do, we should just be like, dude, don't send us money. Send us ridiculous things.
Be so awesome. We should get a P.O. box.
We should.
We're gonna get a P.O. box.
Oh, and then like, we could have a contest, like send in the weirdest thing to our P.O. box.
That could be disastrous.
It'd be great.
Except we won't have like 2 friends, but that's okay.
Yeah, but you never know.
I'm kidding. No, we got more than 2 friends.
We do.
2 friends.
I do.
Well, you and me. That's 2.
it. That's 2. We don't
Oh.
need more than that.
Well, and plus my personalities.
Oh, I have
other
like 7
It's like
friends.
Sybil. Yeah. Right? Just call me the modern male Sybil. Wait, is that trademark too? I don't know.
Probably. Everybody owns everything.
So last venture, we left out on some interesting conversations about
We did.
DUI law.
We ended right on that.
Yeah. So it seemed like we might actually have a little disagreement on this.
Fantastic.
Finally, we get to something we don't agree on.
Well,
I know
we'll
This is
see.
all you're waiting for. We'll see. So we're talking about when you are in Canada. Canada's laws are pretty strict on DUIs. That your first DUI is a felony.
Just open my beer.
It's true. First DUI is a felony. So you're not allowed in the United States. And it prompted a conversation between Jay and I about DUI laws and my feelings about that.
I made the flippant comment. I get that.
And I don't.
And then you went claws.
I don't.
You're ready
I
to go
just-
claws out on me.
You know, it's kind of like minimum prison sentences on stupid shit.
No, I definitely don't agree with that.
I mean, but it's similar, right? I mean, so let's just say, here if you get convicted of DUI, DWI, whatever the case may be,
Whatever they're calling it nowadays.
let's go to your favorite point, a checkpoint, right? Exactly, hates checkpoint. But you're going through a checkpoint.
Okay.
So you may have had, how many drinks tonight, and technically you're over the legal limit. You're 0.09, which is, it is pretty up there, right? I mean, you probably shouldn't be driving. Let's just talk about the law, though. Have broken the law? Yes, but the penalties involved in that just drive me crazy. You've not damaged anybody's property.
Yet.
Okay, but you haven't, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's just like saying, you got drunk in your house and they're going to go ahead and arrest you because you could drive. You haven't hit anybody yet.
You're equating it to a pre-crime.
Exactly, and you're not. I mean, you have committed a crime, so I think you should be judged upon the crime you committed, which is you chose to drive under the influence, and there should be a penalty for that. Yeah. I think there should be a tiered penalty. Is what I'm saying. Is that
what would they base that on?
You get the same penalty for a DUI as if you run off the road and smash somebody's house up, right? As you will if you do through a checkpoint. Except for you might get charged with. You'll have to pay for the property.
Well, the penalties are insanely harsh anyway, and I think they made them that way because they were trying to get people to stop doing it.
Yeah, penalties. I
mean, it used to be, never in my life, but I've heard stories of you used to get pulled over, leaving the bar, and hey, so and so deputy or whatever would follow you home the rest of the way to make sure you got there. It wasn't a big deal, and then there started being more people on the road. They lowered the driving age. I don't know if they lowered it or not, but I know the younger people are driving now. I thought it used to be 18 way back in the day. I could be wrong, but and it was dangerous. There's more people on the road. The cars now go faster than what they used to. Yeah, they make them safer, but highways aren't.
Fatalities are down.
Sure, maybe
fatalities down.
Maybe that's because of all the laws.
I'm sure. Well,
and the harsh penalty. I know.
Or the development of better automobiles.
When I was younger, I have had too much to drink and I have driven before. I don't anymore. There's so many options now, Uber and all that. But I'm also like scared of. Are you taking notes over there like a lawyer? Is this a deposition? I'm being deposed.
I have ADD here, man. I'm trying to instead of interrupting you and
okay,
badgering your point. Which
no, it's
now
fine.
You just interrupted your own train of thought.
That's all right. I've been deposed before. Bring it, man.
I've been deposed too.
So anyway, maybe the fatalities are down because their harsh penalties are working.
You know what? So we were going to go off and we got onto a good topic here. You believe that the amount of penalty associated with a crime has a direct correlation to if somebody is going to commit it or not.
Yes.
You believe that?
Oh, that's easy. Let's say for a second, like right now, if you get a DUI, you're losing your license for like a year. It's cost you about $10,000 to get it back. You could do jail time. It's a big deal, right? Let's pretend for a second that penalty was $25 fine. Do you think people, when they're leaving a bar, would go, if I do get pulled over, it's only $25, I'll be fine? Or do you think that some of them, like for me, went, that penalty is way too high. I'm not going to chance it. It's way cheaper to get a ride somewhere else or figure something else out. So because the penalty is so high on something that's so easy to avoid, a lot of people that I know just go, we don't.
I mean, maybe with DUIs, I don't know. I mean, and I have a gut feeling to say that I don't think the penalties that are associated with breaking the law keeps people from breaking the law.
Well, that's a blanket statement. Some laws, I think you're right.
Right,
clearly,
like growing weed, growing pot. I mean, that's a felony.
Now I'm afraid I'm going to perjure myself somehow.
I'm just saying, if you're growing
I mean,
pot,
I'm not now, but I have in the past grown pot, yes.
I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying in general that's a pretty serious crime.
Yeah.
As far as the government's concerned. And that carries a lot of weight. But, I mean, did you really, when you were growing, since you're going to bring up, did you think about that?
Yes.
Did it stop you?
Yes. No. I mean, sorry, no, it didn't stop me. Stop you. I was exceedingly careful about it. But I almost got,
Most drunks think they're being exceedingly careful, too.
Sure. I know, and I almost got, that was the last time I grew, and I almost got busted for it. My neighbor had called the police, and the police came out to my house because they're making too much noise. And she was just like, I don't know, she was a crazy lady. But long story short,
It was a crazy lady?
I don't live there anymore.
I was going to say, did that civil penalty keep you from, or did you? Okay, next.
Did I turn it into fertilizer for my wheat plant?
I said it was a big plant. It's like 7 feet tall.
I apologize. My chair is insanely squeaky. Anyway.
You have a drinking game. Every time that you hear Jay or my chair squeak, you got to drink.
We need new chairs. Patreon is that. So I have this in my regular garden mixed in with everything else. And now, next thing you know, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but now there's a sheriff in my driveway, not 35 feet from a felony. And me being the big, never answer questions, know your rights. Nope, I was yes sir, no sir.
You had stones on your knees. Is that what you're telling me?
I was
kneeling in a gravel driveway.
Oh yeah, I was offering an idea before he asked for it.
Anybody just listened to the cops episode a few episodes back?
Yeah, but when I'm that close to a felony, I was like, no man, whatever you need. I was so nice to that guy. I mean, because I didn't want him getting out of the car and poking around.
Sure.
And somebody had called, and and he ended up seeing, hey, it's a bunch of younger people and living next to a really old person. It's fine.
But I think that proves my point. You didn't not grow because of the penalties. You only started being aware of the penalties once that opportunity came for you to pay those penalties.
No, I knew the penalties ahead of time.
You did.
I just took the chance because I lived so far out there. I didn't think it was a big deal.
I think most people, and that's the way most people look at it.
Sure. So I made that choice, but that was also, for weed.
I don't always agree that I mean, having a penalty is good, and and I think there's a tipping point. So yeah, the $25 fine, is that enough penalty to
Oh, absolutely not.
to deter somebody? Maybe not.
Yeah, people are just going to do it anyway.
But I think people are going to do it anyway.
Think about that.
You know how many people get caught? Okay.
Okay.
Extrapolate to the people that don't get caught.
Okay.
Is it really stopping people, or do you think that small, or do you think there are?
I think it is stopping people. I think that the idea of whether or not it's okay to do that has changed. My example is
that's
this.
for sure. But public opinion has definitely changed on that one.
And how people practice their how they go about their lives changed. Sure. I don't think they do it as much. Right now, a speeding ticket costs you right around $100.
How do you know that?
Because I get speeding tickets.
So you're telling me the penalty doesn't keep you from speeding?
Exactly, correct.
So the penalty's not high enough, is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that no.
You want the penalty to be higher to keep you from speeding and keep yourself safe.
You are putting words in my mouth, sir.
I mean, that's what you're telling me here.
No, I'm telling you.
You're saying higher penalties keep people from committing crimes.
I'm saying that a speeding ticket I know costs about $100, $120. The ones I've gotten, and I still speed. Mm-hmm. I sped today because I don't give a shit. I just don't care. It's worth it to me to get where I got to go faster.
Is sped the right word?
I think so. We'll find out.
Yeah, find out.
But if the penalty for speeding was, a weekend in jail, $10,000 fine, and loss of my license for a year, guess who's not speeding anymore? I'm doing 5 under at that point everywhere I go.
You think so?
Yes, I'm sure of it. It's not worth it at that point.
It's not worth it at any point.
What, the speed?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because the government knows how fast I can drive safely.
It's not that. I'm just saying. So if you do a little math, right? How far are you speeding?
Well, it depends. If you add it all up and do the math, I've done the math, and the time that I save is it basically costs me a couple of cents an hour.
The time you save what?
By speeding? Yeah.
But you haven't. The time you've ever saved speeding, the one time you got a speeding ticket, you've already lost all that time you've ever saved.
No.
You're not a person that drives 500 miles at a swap.
I used to.
At one time.
I'm going by those, yeah.
So, okay, 500 miles, so you drive 10 miles an hour over.
Yeah.
How you gain 50 minutes.
I mean, let me get the calculator out and figure it all out.
I don't have to. I just did. I have to calculate it.
But
it's
called
the fucking brain.
So I do that for 3 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. I saved myself days, is what I'm saying. And I got one ticket. So out of the days that that adds up to extra literal days that I got to be at home instead of on the road. And that cost me $120. So when you figure it out by the hour, it was a couple cents an hour.
If you're talking about payment, yeah, but the time that you didn't save, okay, days over how many years? 20 years of driving?
I mean,
you saved 3 days?
You want me? I'll get the.
I'm curious. In the industry, that's important. And speeding, and I speed. I'm guilty of it too.
Keep talking while I figure this out.
I speed. I'm guilty of it too. But I do try to remind myself, and I look down on the speedometer, I'm like, do I really need to go 10 or 8 over? I'm driving for a half an hour, and I do the math, right?
Is figuring out how much you've gained. But if you're speeding, I always speed at least 5 mile an hour over. Okay. So for every hour I'm in a vehicle, I'm getting an extra 5 miles, 5 minutes,
approximately 5 minutes.
So
is that really worth it?
Yeah,
5 minutes.
Well,
you piss away 5 minutes doing nothing.
You're saying $100 for 5 minutes. I'm saying $100 for.
But there's other things. It's not only the cost of the. My argument is I don't necessarily believe that punishment fits a crime, and that was kind of my lead in. But we
can get libertarian on that and say maybe you shouldn't tell me how fast I should go anyway, as long as I'm being safe. Don't worry about it.
Safe's a very subjective thing. It's safe to you, and maybe you have a vehicle that can handle a 100-mile-an-hour crash because you have a 5-point harness and a helmet, right?
Yeah,
but the guy you're
definitely don't have any
driving next to,
your point.
Driving next to doesn't.
In his old 78
sure,
Chevette.
Right? He might, exactly.
He might have a bad day.
He might have a bad day, but
it is relative.
It is, but I'm saying that the time we think we save by speeding and here's the thing: is if the rest of the traffic isn't going that fast, you're actually becoming a harm and not helpful.
That all depends on if people know how to drive or not. See, on a 2-lane highway, you're supposed to stay to the right because you're slower traffic. Sure. And you'd be surprised how many times, and that is my biggest pet peeve about driving anywhere, is when you get on a highway.
As you're cruising down the left lane going too fast.
No. If I have 10 cars on the right lane and I'm going faster than all of them, I'll blaze by all of them. But once there's a spot, I'll get over to the right lane and I'll cruise along until I come to somebody slower again, and then I'll switch lanes again. That's how it's supposed to go. But you get
Yeah, but so you got in front of 10 cars.
Yeah.
Right? And you were speeding, going 10 mile an hour over to do so.
Yeah.
And of those 10 cars, say they're spaced out 40 feet apart.
Wow, we're getting
Each
some
car.
serious equations. Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, you are 400 feet ahead of them.
Well, at first, but then I keep speeding.
Potentially, right?
So from
but
here,
you gain 400 feet. I'm leading up to a point.
It should take...
You gain 400 feet, right?
At that one pass, yes.
And you made 2 lane changes.
Yeah, one
what
over
do you
and
think's
one back
more
again.
unsafe, speeding or lane changes? I can answer it. Lane changes.
Yeah, it depends on if you know what you're doing.
Most accidents, statistically,
That's 'cause people are
lane
fucking
changes.
stupid.
Well, maybe, but changing lanes is inherently problematic.
It would be less dangerous if the other people were operating correctly.
Correctly to use.
Correctly according to how the laws are written.
If you drove
Those
with
make
the
sense.
flow of traffic, if everybody drove with the flow of traffic at the speed limit, then it would be a moot point.
Yeah, then
So if you could,
the whole time.
if you could automate all these vehicles and set up that, say basically you get on here and everybody stays 150 feet away from each other, and we can all go 75 mile an hour on these small road, on a 4 or 2 lane,
it'd be a
4 lane divided
four-lane
highway.
Yeah.
And we could, there would be no problem.
And I suppose that's what I meant when I said that it was a 4-lane
I know
highway.
what you
I'm on
meant.
the 2 side, and yeah.
2 lanes of travel. So
Yeah.
2 lanes in the same direction anyway.
We got way off DUIs, but I like this.
No, I mean that's the point. Is that penalties, and that's my thing. Is I don't think the punishment always fits the crime, and the crime in that book, the fact is, DUIs kill a lot of people, but speeding, I would say, if you did the analysis, and I don't have it in front of me, but I would challenge you. I'd probably say if you looked it up, speeding probably costs more lives in this country than DUIs do.
I don't know. I guess I'm not sure.
And usually, if you're DUI, you're probably speeding too.
And even if it does, I mean, it's one of those things where it's inherently dangerous.
Inherently dangerous. That's right. But so, given that, why do we not have? If we're trying to keep people safe, then why aren't the penalties for speeding as severe as they are for DUI?
I don't think speeding causes that many fatalities as you think it does.
I'd be curious. I mean, something we can look up and address later on and settle that bet. And you guys are out there in your Google world. Google it.
And I like the fact that we don't have the stats and the facts in front of us. We're going on our opinions.
And that's what this is about, right?
Yeah.
So how did I get here? Anecdotally, in my life.
And we'll learn something at the end of this.
Yeah, sure.
I hope some of the audience posts up a thing and says, hey, right
you
here,
guys are full of shit.
hey, Jay, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Here's all their accidents for speeding.
Hey, Jeff, I saved three days of my entire life because I went 10 miles an hour over. It just sounds like a stupid argument.
It depends on how much you drive. I literally have done the math before, though, and it came out to... For the one ticket that I got in that 4-year span when I was driving a lot, it was like a couple of days that I saved that I was at home instead of on the highway driving around. But I also time myself to, Chicago should be from Fremont, Ohio, right around 5 hours. And once using my wonderful speeding that I enjoy so much, I was proud of myself that I made it in I got it wrote down somewhere. It was 3 hours and 36 minutes or something. So I saved an hour and a half on just one trip.
You know where you'd save more time? Stop pissing so much. You could save more time in your life.
I could save more time in my life.
Not speeding and
drive the speed limit. We're going to bring up my...
And just stop taking a leak every 30 miles. I mean,
when you're going for the old road trips back in the day.
This is where you calculated your math problem here from back in those trips, right? Am I wrong?
No, it wasn't from those trips.
No, okay. Well, I'm just the punishment. I don't always believe that punishments deter crime. I don't believe that. I believe it has an influence, but I don't
have any
believe
crime.
People who are going to commit it.
I mean,
and who hasn't committed a crime?
With our government, everybody's a criminal, man.
You know what?
We're probably breaking a couple laws right now and don't even know it.
That's sad to say that you're probably right.
Yeah, and I don't even care. But
I'm sure there's somebody out there that's... And I don't know. Is there anybody out there that's never broken a law?
In this country?
I think it'd be pretty tough.
I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, so you're going to say, I live in New York, and I don't have a car, so I've never sped, so I can't.
Yeah, you jaywalked at one point.
Jaywalk.
You
maybe
did something
you were
wrong.
on Napster back in the day and downloaded that.
Yeah, well, that was a
Mariah
felony.
Carey. Exactly. That's kind of my
You did
theory. Is I think
something.
most people in today's have committed a felony and maybe don't know it. I mean,
Yeah,
or do for that matter.
I know I've committed.
I mean, we'll edit that out.
Yeah. No.
But I don't believe punishment deter crime. I don't.
Well, again, as a blanket statement, I can agree with that.
Well,
But
good.
I can also tell you that on an individual basis, as someone who used to not think it's a big deal to have, maybe 4 beers and then drive home, now technically I'm over the limit. I know I've driven over the limit before. And now I treat that shit way different because police are actively looking for it. And the fine is so huge.
Why are they actively looking for it? To keep us safe?
That's
Or
what
to get
they
the
say.
money?
I think it's to get the money. But
I think so too.
But does it keep us safer having less drunk people on the road? Absolutely. Yes. Is it worth all the money you spend on your stupid checkpoint to catch no one? No.
I don't know.
But in that aspect, it has changed how I personally operate in my day-to-day life. I won't, if I go out to a restaurant to dinner, I'm like, hey, I'll have 2 drinks, and then that's it. And then, like an hour later, after some coffee, I'll drive home. But more than that, and I'm figuring out another way home. I don't want to press my luck. I don't want to be that guy that gets popped for being the .09. So I just don't fuck around with it.
Well, in Ohio, you don't have to be .09. We've talked about this before. You can be under .08 and still be charged. Because Ohio's law is driving under the influence. And there's driving while intoxicated. There's 2 different charges.
Yeah, see, that's all
Now,
dumb.
there's some officer out there that's going to tell me I'm full of crap. But, in the verbiage of it is, if you're under .08 and you exhibit inebriated
Yeah. That's why
activity.
That's why you don't roll down the window. You don't answer questions. You don't fuck around with them. You just
and
don't,
then they
you
order
just don't
you out
play.
of the car.
Which I still have to look that up
You
to
need
see
to
if
look
they
it
have
up.
if
Yeah,
they,
they
if
can
they
look
can
it.
do that.
I think
I know that they're going to tell you can because they can tell you that they can do whatever they
Well,
want.
they say everything. They know everything.
Yeah, but I want to
Whoever
call my
they
lawyer
are.
and ask him and be like, hey, if I get ordered out of the car at a traffic stop for speeding, do I have to get out? I don't think you do, and I could be wrong.
We got to put a bet on this one.
Yeah,
What are we betting?
Me, probably my freedom. Because if I don't find out the answer and I get pulled over, I don't know. And I'd probably get out.
And I look at it like this. When I say, punishments don't prevent crime, it's back to the old adage that locks keep honest people honest.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you spent 10 minutes on YouTube, you could probably learn how to pick just about every lock.
I've looked it up.
I've
before.
looked it up too.
Yeah,
That's
just
why
for
I
the
came
fun
up.
of it.
Yeah,
and
and it was way
not to be nefarious,
but way too easy.
Just because you see it in the movies and you're like, how the fuck did I do? Is that really? Is it a real thing? Can they really do that?
Oh yeah.
And I looked it up.
And it's pretty much that
Have
easy.
you tried it?
I've never tried it. No,
I tried it. Couldn't do it. It looks
No.
easy. No, it looks easy. as
So you
shit.
bought the
Couldn't do it.
tools and
No, I did the one where you use the
Bobby
bobby
pin or
pin, and I did like the improvised. I don't have a toolkit. I'm not a fucking.
I'm sure there's some finesse, right? I mean, there's a feeling.
I couldn't do it.
Practice and you can feel for it.
Probably. I didn't put that much work in, and it was just a master lock thing. I wasn't like going nuts on it, but
I
was
think
kind of curious.
part of that is knowing the internal workings of whatever you're dealing with. That's part
The
of
video went into all that, but I just found that after messing with it for a few minutes for the fun of it, it'd be just easier to cut the motherfucker or shoot it. It's
Well,
a
right.
master
I was saying there's so many
lock.
ways around it. I mean, a lock is again, it's only going to prevent honest people from being unhonest, not
Pretty
honest. And the same regards with some of the civil penalties for for traffic. Let's just stay on topic with traffic. The traffic penalties. Do speeding tickets or the amount of money you spend on a speeding ticket prevent you from speeding? I don't think so. I think people are.
Then explain to me
people
why
are only freaked out when they get the ticket. Nobody goes home and goes, "Oh shit, I could have totally got a ticket today."
Not true. They're also freaked out because you can watch. You're driving on the highway, right? And let's say you're coming down. There's a little bit of a downslope in front of you, and then you can see the fucking sea of brake lights ahead of you, and then you see the trooper sitting at the side of the road.
Yeah.
Every single one of those fucking people were speeding until they saw the trooper. And why'd they slow down? They didn't want to get a ticket. But before that,
nobody wants to get a ticket.
But before that, they were all like, "Fuck the ticket, I'm going to speed." And every time you see a trooper and you're in heavier traffic, you see that big giant red sea of brake lights coming towards you.
So your argument is they would have sped right past them if there was no penalty.
Absolutely.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, that's what you're saying. Yeah, which is fair.
Definitely.
Which I think, and I will concede the fact that I think some penalty matters, but I think there becomes a saturation point where it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I think it becomes a point of, are they
people
doing
are
it to be
commit the crime,
safe, or is it a way to make money?
Well, that's
a way to
different
make
story.
money, yeah.
Well, you know it's a way to make money when you can get a speeding ticket and you go to court and you say, Mr. Judge, I would like you to reduce this to a brake violation. And they said, okay, pay your $80 court costs. All we want to do is see you here in court, pay your $80.
To a brake violation?
Like a brake, as in your brakes are malfunctioning. Like if you go to court for like a speeding ticket, that's typically if they're gonna knock it down to something, they'll knock it to a brake violation, an equipment violation essentially.
Oh, okay.
That's a non-moving.
My last ticket,
non-moving.
My last ticket, I was gonna go to court. I was like, fuck this, because the guy, the trooper fucked the stop all up. I'll make this part quick. I know it's off subject, but it's a hilarious story. He told me like 3 or 4 different speeds I was going. He had no idea. He was just, whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to go fight this. I have enough evidence that I know that he can't prove what I was doing. So I actually went to court, and I was ready to go, And when I got there, I found out that they were doing court alphabetically. And it was 9 o'clock in the morning. And so they start calling Alvarez, Augustine, or whatever the fuck the next name was. And I was like, okay, my last name starts with S, so not sure how this is going to go. So I asked the court clerk, I was like, hey, this place was fucking packed, full of people. And he basically had said, well, you'll probably be after lunch, but if I leave and come back and I guessed it wrong, then I missed my court date, so I just went and paid the fine.
Now you have a warrant.
So I just went and paid the fine. Like, they got me. I was just like, I don't have all day to sit here. Again, my time was more important. I was just
and you still speed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't deter you. It doesn't deter you.
That particular thing does not deter me because it's not a big fine. It's not a big deal. $100, it's more of an inconvenience at that point.
So one of the consequences of speeding could be death. It's a pretty big consequence.
If you live your life that way, you're going to be in your home all day or wherever.
Well, my point is
nothing is safe.
There is a consequence to your action.
Going slow though could equally kill you.
Going too slow, absolutely.
You can get in somebody's way.
Absolutely.
Going to the store could kill you. So who gives a shit? Literally.
But I'm saying
doing this podcast could kill us if a plane crashes on my house right now. It could happen.
And you know what? It proves my point. That consequences don't change my actions. Because you just proved my point.
Well,
there's consequences.
And again, depending on, and
a plane crashing into here and us doing a podcast is not a consequence of the podcast.
Correct.
You speeding and losing control or hitting somebody that doesn't know how to change lanes because you're going faster than they are is a consequence of you speeding.
But it's also a consequence of the choice you made to drive.
And to speed. Driving is first. You made the choice to get up. So
which inherently it's dangerous.
Inherently it's dangerous. Had you not been speeding, you wouldn't have been there. I've been saying there's a consequence.
Maybe speeding saved my life. Maybe I drove past an accident that I would have been involved in had I been going slower. Same thing. So maybe speeding was better for me.
So you're saying the consequence of speeding was saving your life?
I'm saying that speeding isn't as dangerous as you're making it out to be.
I don't think it's as necessary as people think it is.
For instance,
I don't necessarily think it's as dangerous as I'm not trying to make it out as dangerous, but I don't think it's as necessary. I don't, and again, I speed. I'm kind of being a hypocrite here.
That's fine.
But
the
older I've gotten, and the more experience in the industry that I'm in, has made me realize that it's just not that important.
Speeding is less dangerous than driving while intoxicated.
True.
Yeah. So, and the penalties for DUI are higher.
Much.
And I don't want to kill a family or deal with the thousands of dollars that it's going to cost me and all that to go through it. So I just don't do it.
And in this country, right, you should be held responsible for the actions that happen from your actions, right? So if you're driving while intoxicated and you go to a checkpoint, and again, you weren't swerving, didn't hit anything, you weren't speeding.
Those are unconstitutional anyway.
Just hear me out.
Yeah.
Okay, so your brake lights showing white. Or whatever, your brake light's out, and you get pulled over, and you're literally right in front of your driveway, right?
Yeah, you made it.
So you made it. You committed a crime. You broke the law. You drove while intoxicated, but I shouldn't say there's no victim, but the consequences of your action on the general public, are minimal. So I think you should still be penalized. There should be, quote unquote, like the speeding ticket. There should be some kind of civil penalty. And I think it should be tiered. I think it should be reciprocal to what the action that happened. If you run into somebody and you hurt a family, then that should be the highest penalty ever. It's kind of like first degree, second degree, third degree murder, right? There's different degrees of murder.
If you have that with DUI and with how dangerous driving drunk is, people are going to take that gamble because they're going to say, well, as long as I get home, or if I just get pulled over, it's only a speeding ticket, I think I'll be fine.
I'm not saying it should be low, but I think it should be lower. I mean, even if it's $1,000 fine. I mean, it hurts, right? It's painful. It's enough to deter you, but I think there should be degrees, just like there is with murder. Why is there degrees with murder then?
That I don't
Why?
know. There's enough now to deter me, though. They've made it enough to deter me. They're like, hey, the penalties are so high that it's working. I'm deterred. I'm like, hey, I'm not doing it. It's not worth it to me.
Fair enough.
So if there was a lesser one where, oh, well, yeah, he was, 0.12 and he was wrecked, but he didn't hurt anybody, so $500. Well, then everybody's going to think that they'll just, I won't be the guy getting in an accident tonight, I'll be fine. And accidents will go up and fatalities will go up and it'll cause them a bigger problem.
Slope, isn't it? I mean,
it kind of is, but that's where the whole thing started anyways. It got dangerous, so they made the laws to begin with. And then they realized that the fines weren't enough. People didn't give a shit. They were still doing it. So then they upped the fine to the point where now it's like, to some people, that's $10,000 it can cost you to get everything.
Oh, it's way more. I mean,
is it more than that now?
Well, I'm saying there's that fine and then all the other repercussions that come with it.
I thought the whole thing with the reinstatement fees and what your insurance costs would go up. It's a staggering amount of money that to some people
it ruins people's lives.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, it can ruin people's lives more than murder.
Don't drive drunk.
Well, I understand that there's a consequence to it. I don't think the punishment fits the crime. If the guy, I think it should be relative to what happened. I think it should be relative. The same thing is like speeding is relative. You're going to have a different fine for 5 miles an hour over than you are 30 miles an hour over.
I don't believe that speeding is inherently dangerous.
Regardless if you believe it or not, the reality is you have one fine for 10 miles an hour over, and there's another fine for 30 miles an hour over.
Well, yeah,
the degree of severity of your actions, right?
Well, yeah.
So the degree of severity should follow along with that. Why doesn't it? I can answer that. Lobbyists.
Well, it does.
It's just been lobbied.
It does.
It's become a feel good.
No, it does though.
What?
The penalties do change.
No.
Yeah.
A penalty.
You just don't like where the lowest one is. So if you get pulled over right now and you get your DUI, you're going to lose your license for a year. You're going to get your 3-day class. You're going to pay all your fines, right? Yep. You didn't hurt anybody, and that's your fine. If you do all that and you kill somebody, you're also getting charged with manslaughter.
But that's a different crime.
But you did it because you were drunk.
But manslaughter is a different crime. It's a different charge. It's a different charge.
It is, but
if you are speeding and going 30 miles an hour over and you kill somebody, you're going to get, reckless op and vehicular homicide
or whatever,
whatever the case may be. So it's two different charges, and that's my point. Is there's degrees of
so you want DUI
severity.
penalties to be lesser?
I think they should be tiered.
So they should be tiered. So if you don't do anything wrong, other than drive drunk and almost kill people.
But I could say the same.
But you don't.
But here's the thing: is you disagree. Like, oh, I'm speeding, so I didn't almost kill people. I almost saved myself. Well, maybe you did. I mean, there was a motorcycle that didn't see you because you should have been in a 35 mile an hour zone. You're going 40. He looks down. He pulls out, and you smoke him.
I don't speed in town.
Oh, so now there's a caveat.
Absolutely, there's people in town, man. Of course.
There's okay.
If it's a residential neighborhood and it's 25 miles an hour, I'm doing 25. Maybe closer to 30 a little bit, but for the most part, I'm much more careful in town. There's kids running around, there's dogs, there's people, there's motorcycles, but you're on the highway and it's an open road and the speed limit is 65 and clearly I can operate safely at 75 and there's fucking room to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't think that's dangerous. Now, if I'm doing 75 down a 25 mile an hour road, okay, clearly now I'm being an asshole and the punishment should be a lot more, but I don't do that. I speed, I think, like everybody else speeds. A couple mile an hour or 5-10 mile an hour over. Maybe 15.
Here's the thing, though. If you were speeding like everybody else speeds, you wouldn't be passing anybody.
Not everybody else. A lot of people.
You wouldn't.
And there are times when I'm doing 75 and a 65, and I get passed.
And I don't. You're probably like, douche?
No. No. What I usually do is I'll speed up. I'll let him get about a quarter mile ahead, and I'll follow him, feeling like, well, they're getting stopped before I get stopped.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, I know, but I've tried it. That way, yeah.
I got a ticket coming down from Michigan. That's stupid. I did something really dumb. Memorial Day, actual day. coming down on 75 up by Gaylord, Michigan, and
where?
Gaylord,
Are you
Michigan.
serious?
Yeah, Gaylord, Michigan, and
That's a great name.
And up at Gaylord, Michigan, and I had seen two cars that kind of blew past me, and I'm like, shit, I'll follow them. So kicked it up, set the cruise. I was doing about 95 mile an hour, and I think it's 70 up there at that time. It was 70. So 95 and a 70, pretty stupid. I mean, looking at it back, and you're nodding your head at me like, yeah, that's stupid. But hey, I'm speeding. It's safe, right? I know what I'm doing. But the other people aren't. So that's the problem. If everybody's going that same speed, you're at least better off. Nobody's changing lanes, regardless. Going 95, it's one of those parts of the country that you have woods in between the two, directions of traffic on the major highway. Mm-hmm. So there's no real place for cops to hide except these little cut-throughs. They come about every 4 or 5 miles.
They hide in those?
Yeah, they hide in those little cut-throughs.
What a bunch of gaylords.
But I hadn't seen one of those cut-throughs for a while, so I thought, oh, shoot, I should probably slow down. And as soon as I had that thought, there was one. Yep, and I passed him. I'm like, oh, damn it. So I move over in the right lane like, I didn't have my hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Well, like 10 and 2, seatbelt on, looking straight ahead, and the cop pulled up next to me and looked over at me, and I kind of caught him in the corner of my eye. He paced me,
Yep.
And whoop, 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 whoop. I'm like, look over, and he motions for me to follow him. And I'm like, follow him? Okay.
Oh, no, not in Gaylord.
And so the state patrolman took off, and he went after the other two vehicles that had kept going. They didn't slow down. I slowed down. They didn't. And he caught up to them. They had eventually kind of got over the right lane, followed them, pulled them over.
So we pulled 3 cars over.
That's
a boss right there.
And I pulled up behind him. He came back. He's like, hey, pull in front of me. It's not safe. Yada. He wasn't a jerk. I woke up the kid that was with me. I'm like, hey, you need to wake up. He's like,
he
why?
Wasn't a jerk. He was very polite when he robbed me at gunpoint. He threat of arrest. He was a really nice guy. Other than that,
I had to wake up the kid next to me. I said,
pirate.
I said, listen, man, you're going to need to drive my car home. He says, why is that? I said, because I think I'm going to jail. I said, it's reckless op. I mean, 95 and a 70, it's 25 over. I'm pretty sure they're going to take me to jail.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. So cop comes up and says, how fast are you going? And I said, 85. And he's like, 86 is what I clocked you with the look like. How fast were you really going?
Nice. That's a good guess, though.
It was a good guess.
Yeah.
I figured I'd drop down at least 10 mile an hour.
Before he got me.
And he's like, listen, I appreciate you cooperating, yada, yada. You need to be safe out here. I'll drop the ticket down to 75 and a 70. It was a $70 fine.
What a pal.
Yada, yada.
I won't steal 150 from you. I'll only steal half that.
I was
such
breaking
a nice
the law.
guy.
I chose to break the law.
That's a whole other episode.
I chose to break the law and I have to pay the penalties, right? So I paid the penalty. And, but yeah, that was my little experience of speeding. And thinking about that, it's like, was I really gaining anything? 25 mile an hour is pretty, that's pretty substantial.
It is. You can make a lot of time off your trip.
You could, but your reaction time at that is a lot lower. Somebody can look in their left mirror and say, okay, the lane's clean. I'm going to get out and pass this guy because that guy's doing 75 and he's got to pass the 70 guy in front of him. Right? He's only going 5 miles an hour over. Next thing you know, I'm right up on him. I'm doing 20 miles faster than he thinks I should be.
There's also studies that say the faster you go, the more attention you're paying. So you're safer because you're not just cruising at 55 mile an hour thinking you're fine. So that's why there's so few accidents on the Autobahn where you can go as fast as you want. And there's less issues with that than there are with our speed limits. So there's numerous, opinions on it. All I know is that even when I'm speeding, if I'm getting into like a cluster of traffic where shit's all backed up or whatever, I'm not just trying to blow past everybody I see. I can chill out when it's safe. When I feel like I'm safe personally to go a little faster than what the government says I can go, I do that because they're not there right now and they don't fucking know. So I just do it. And I think that's still safer than driving while intoxicated.
Well, that's not the argument. I'll say, here's a little homework for everybody in J2. Look up the statistics on fatalities.
I'll let somebody else look it up and tell me I'm wrong.
Fatalities for DUIs versus accidents.
Well, now it's probably less because, again,
over
their
20
fines
years.
have deterred people from doing it.
Over 20 years.
So people don't do it anymore.
Hey, man, there are some states that, people have like 35 DUIs. It's like
that is insane. At some
point.
It should
be tiered.
Yeah, at some point.
It should be tiered,
and that is, I think...
in some states it is.
You get the party plates in Ohio at some point, and then at some point they just say, hey, no more license for you, you're done.
There are some states that don't have that, and there are other ones that I think it's California. Oh, hey, California is a 3-strike state, right?
For felonies, I thought.
Right, but after your second or third DUI in California, it becomes a felony.
Oh, really?
So you could go to jail for life.
For like 9 DUIs?
For 3. Well, I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, because that would be the first felony.
I get you. If you continually, But after the you get one.
Each of 6. So fifth would be
life in prison.
That's why California is nice to visit. And that's about it.
I wonder what their DUI rates were. I don't know. It's just interesting. I just think the penalties are just insane. Your first time, if you didn't hit anybody, I think it should be tiered. I just think it needs to be.
You don't learn anything. And you're like, I made it fine last time. We'll be all right.
I guess maybe.
And maybe you're right. I don't know. I like as little government interference as possible in every aspect of my life. But I also agree with the idea that you shouldn't drink and drive, which I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah. I mean, in America, we can have some. I mean, theoretically, legally. But no, you can't. It's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
So. Well, that's it. I don't think.
Right.
I don't think.
Man, we haven't had one of those in a while.
No, and my stance is still. I don't think that punishment always fits the crime, and 2 is a deterrent for crime.
The first one, I'm not sure where I agree on you. And the second one, you're wrong. It deterred me, so you're wrong.
I love being wrong. Well, until next time, folks.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed.
This has been Arguably Correct.
See ya.